friends, how are ya? Welcome back to my channel for a very special video today. I figured I should make a video all about what it's like adopting a dog, especially a rescue dog, and if you should adopt a rescue dog too. So this is Max. We'll see how long he wants to sit with me on this video. Whenever I hold him like a baby, he gets this like limp head and just like falls over. Hi buddy. Oh, sweet boy. We'll see how long he wants to hang out during this video, but Brooke and I adopted Max about 2 months ago now. He is a 3-year-old rescue. He was an owner surrender. As far as breed goes, we think he's a poodle, terrier, Maltese mix, and he's the sweetest boy. There was quite a bit of a learning curve and a lot of adjustments. So I asked on Instagram what questions you want me to address and cover in this video because I had been getting a lot of DMs about our experience, the cost associated with it, the transition period, him just getting used to living here, and what that whole experience is like. So without further ado, let's see what they want to know. Oh, thank you. I love the mouth kisses after you lick your butt. It's so sweet. It's so sweet. You're so cutie. If y'all don't follow me on Instagram, I'll go ahead and put my handle down below, but I often ask for your input on topics such as this to make sure I cover everything you want to know. So if you want to be a part of that, look at his little limp head. Go ahead and follow along, and I would love to get your insight. So before the specific questions, when I looked through this yesterday, a lot of people wanted to know, some people genuinely wanted to know why adopt instead of go to a breeder, and other people wanted to make sure I cover that for if you're interested in getting a dog, just letting you know the benefits of adopting and adopting a rescue or from the shelter or anything like that instead of going to a breeder. And if you think about it, there are so many sweet doggos like Max that need a family and need a home, and some shelters are high kill shelters. So these dogs will quite literally be put down if they don't have a home, and they are such good, loving, capable pets. And when you go to a breeder instead of adopting, not only are you missing that opportunity to save a life, but you're encouraging breeding when there's already so many dogs and pets in the world that are homeless, and you're spending so much money. Adoption fees vary. They can be as cheap as free, $25, depending on the rescue center, up to $300, whereas breeders, I have some friends that have purchased dogs from breeders for thousands of dollars. Now, not all breeders are that expensive, but it does significantly vary and is quite a bit more than adopting a sweet pup that is already so loving and needs a home. And a lot of people wanted to know how I found Max. I did have a specific vision in mind. Now, some of you might say, well, I really want this specific breed of dog. So did I. And it's not impossible to find a breed you want that needs to be rescued or needs a home. I knew I wanted something that had a poodle mix in it because they shed significantly less. I've had some people tell me that it's a myth that they don't shed, but I haven't seen any fur around our house in the last 2 months. So I've loved the fact that he doesn't really shed. And I knew I wanted not a puppy. I just knew that I didn't have the time on my plate to raise a puppy, plus puppies are in more high demand. I wanted an adult dog. Somewhere between the ages of like 1 and 5 was ideal for me. Max is 3, so he's right in the middle of that. And I wanted a medium-sized dog. Also not a massive dog because we live in an apartment, and I just knew we needed an apartment-friendly sized dog. So Max is 22 pounds, also the perfect size. I actually went online. There's a lot of great apps. Are you gonna bite my fingers like a puppy? I just said how old you are, and people know you're 3 now and shouldn't be chewing like a puppy. So I use Pet Finder, and Pet Finder actually, it's almost like Tinder in a way, where you can see all the different pets, and a ton of different rescue centers post onto Pet Finder, and you can even filter by how far away. And you're gonna get all lovey and bitey. I found a rescue center just about 15 miles away from us called Rescue Pet Solutions that had posted Max. And I reached out to them asking if I could meet Max, and they said yes. So I set up an appointment to come in and meet him, loved him, set up another appointment for Brooke to come and meet him. Brooke loved him, and we adopted him there on site and took him home. So that's how that that works. Another thing people wanted to know was the cost and the fees associated with adopting a rescue. Now this varies greatly, but I'll tell you exactly how much everything cost for us. At Pet Rescue Solutions, to adopt Max was $150, but he did not have his vaccines, he did not have his microchip or anything like that, and they did that for us. So it essentially just covered the cost of the vaccines and the microchip. You're getting so squirmy, buddy. You want me to put you down? You want me to put you down? Oh, okay, I'll put you down. Tell the camera bye. Bye. Here, you can sit right here. So for all of his vaccines and his microchip, that cost was honestly in the same general realm as his adoption fee, which was great. He does have a little cherry eye, which requires surgery. It's just cosmetic though. It's almost like optional. So I'm opting not to get it done, but they said that since we rescued from a Rescue Solutions place, they offer financial assistance for surgeries and things such as that I could apply for, see if I qualify. So that's great to know that that's an option if there are any other medical concerns down the line. So the adoption fee for me was $150. Then I live in an apartment, so I did have to put down a pet deposit. Pet deposits are refundable, assuming the pet doesn't cause any damage in the home by the time you move out. That was $500, and that seems to be pretty average. I have quite a few friends that paid just about the same for their pet deposits as well. And then there's pet rent. Pet rent at my place is $50 a month, which isn't terrible, and that seems to be generally average, at least in Los Angeles as well. Those were all of our primary expenses. We did do a little Petco PetSmart run. We got food and, you know, leash, couple toys, dog bed. Dog beds are like 30 bucks for food bowl, water bowl. You can get all that for pretty cheap. But ask if you do rescue a dog. A lot of rescue centers offer this amazing coupon pamphlet to either PetSmart or Petco. I actually got one to both, which was great. And it's to help encourage people to rescue dogs instead of purchase dogs from breeders. It has all these different incentives in it. So for him, we got a huge bag of free food that actually lasted us like a month. We got discounts on a ton of different essentials. He even got half off of grooming. He got a free training session. They have all these different great things that will help to minimize the expense of rescuing a dog. So ask your rescue center about that if you do rescue a dog. So that's my experience of how I found Max and the expense associated with him. And let's jump into the more specific questions. A lot of people wanted to know if it's hard living in an apartment with a dog, and there are some challenges. Dogs need to be taken out an average of 4 times a day, more if you're really, really nice. I know a lot of people take their dog out 3 times a day, but when I talk to experts, they encourage 4. And so when you live in an apartment, it's not like you have a yard with a doggy door and you can be gone for the whole day and the dog can just let himself out. You need to make sure to be home multiple times throughout the middle of the day to take your dog out. And the reverse, if you wake up, you're in pajamas, you're not looking cute, you're not feeling well, you're sick, you still gotta take your dog out. So that requires a little bit of sacrifice. But it's also not that hard. One thing that is a little bit scary for me is just the noise of living in an apartment. He had a little bit of a barking problem when we first adopted him, and I was so nervous for the neighbors. We don't have very thick walls here, and me being a chronic people pleaser was like, how do I get you to stop barking when you're new here and I want you to know you're loved? And how do I make sure the neighbors don't get mad? And balancing that is sometimes a little bit stressful, so having a lot of patience and training for trying to get your dog to not bark, or letting your neighbors know, hey, I adopted this dog. I'm gonna be working really hard to make sure that he's as quiet as possible and acclimated to apartment living. Please have a little bit of grace and patience with me during the transition. Those are the only things that were a little bit difficult for me living in an apartment. Looking at it from the perspective of I did grow up in a big house with a big yard with big dogs. Someone wanted to know the screening process for adopting a dog. We did look at a few different rescue centers at a few different dogs, so we did go through a couple different screening processes per se, and it really is just a simple application. They'll ask you some questions about like, do you work at home? I work at home. That was already an easy yes. Or like, if you don't work at home, can you come home during your lunch break type of thing. The place we ended up adopting Max had us take pictures of our whole house, including like our outdoor spaces and everything like that, to make sure that it was a suitable home. And if there's any question about it, they did make us sign to consent to a home visit where they could come and actually visit our home to make sure that it was suitable for a dog. And then they asked asked us some questions about our previous experience, if we grew up with dogs, if we've had other pets in the past, if we have any children or pets in the house currently, because some dogs might not get along with others, some dogs might not get along with kids, things of that nature. All in all, it was a relatively simple process. The place we ended up adopting Max from, the application was 5 minutes, and then I just sent in pictures of our house as well, and they could see that we were clean people with, you know, not a terrible, terrible home. A lot of people wanted to know about Max's personality, if training him was hard, if there was anything I didn't expect, if he was skittish or scared. And I will tell you one thing, we had a few friends actually adopt rescues the exact same time as us, and we all went through the same thing together, where the first couple of days, they are just exhausted. It's a big emotional change. For Max, he just got his vaccines and his microchip the day before we adopted him. So all of these things were going on, and the first couple of days, they just sleep. They might hide under a chair, hide under a table. They just need to be left alone for a while. They just want to sleep and get acclimated, and that seems to be totally normal. They do warm up to the environment. I would say around day 3 or 4 seems to be average, at least when talking with my other friends. Max did have some skittishness in the beginning. We don't really know anything about his past. We don't know if he was abused or what extent, how he was treated, anything like that. He was very scared the first couple of days, and I do think it was the pain associated with getting a couple vaccines and a microchip and then us taking him home. He might have kind of paired those two things in his mind together, and even if we would just pet his back just lightly, like barely even touch him, he would freak out and like yelp and run away and cry. So I think it was fear-based, and it did take him a few days to get over that and realize, oh, the pain of that vaccine was temporary. These people didn't cause it, I can trust these people type of thing. The hard thing for me that I didn't expect were bad habits that the previous owners had instilled in Max that we had to untrain him from. The biggest bad habit, it was very clear that the previous owners only fed him human food, which is not always the healthiest thing for dogs. Dogs can't have all human foods. They can have some, but not all. The first couple days, he would not eat his normal food. He wouldn't touch it. He wouldn't touch it at all. I don't think he had ever had dog food in his life, if I'm taking a guess here. And Brooke and I, when we would sit down to have dinner, Max would go crazy. He would get so loud and bark and bark and bark and jump up and just try to get our food. And it got to the point, it was so bad that we had to eat in shifts. Brooke had to sit and eat, and I had to sit in the bedroom and close the door and hold Max. And then 30 minutes later, we would switch off, and Brooke would sit in here and hold Max while I would go and eat. And to be honest, at that moment, we kind of were like, what have we done? Like this is impossible. We can't live our lives like this. But if you do adopt a dog, I want to encourage you that it seems impossible for a moment sometimes when they have these fears or when they have these bad habits, but we broke that honestly within 3-4 days. It's so temporary. Things get better. They catch on. Eventually they realize they're never gonna give me their food. I might as well eat my dog food, and I might as well stop barking. And that just took a few days for us. But if I'm being completely transparent, there was a moment where we were like, what have we done? What did we do? Some people said how you handle dealing with his past, not knowing his past. And that is difficult. The first couple days too, he would just bark and bite and freak out after he got out of his little sleeping phase. And it is heartbreaking to be like, I'm trying to love you. I'm trying to give you this loving home. I am your friend. I'm not your foe. But you can't think about yourself in that. You have to approach it with grace and be like, almost assume worst case scenario happened to this dog. Even though it's heartbreaking and terrible to think about, if you assume worst case scenario happened in his past, you will have so much more patience and lovingness and understanding towards the dog. And just know that eventually any dog will trust you. With time. It might be a lot of time, it might be a little bit of time. Max was pretty good after about, I would say, a week and a half. He was just about as good as he is today, and we've been training him on things, teaching him tricks and such ever since then, and he's just been getting better and better, which is great. Looking through all the questions, I think I touched on most of it, including the process of finding a dog, adopting a dog, the cost, the transition. If you are looking for a dog, I really encourage you to look to adopt instead of shop. It is so much more rewarding too, knowing that you really saved this dog's life, and there's millions and millions of pets that need a home. Save yourself some money. This dog will be so thankful that you gave them a loving home. If you can't adopt, or if you're not in the spot to adopt a dog yet, I had a couple people ask what they could do to help, which is actually so sweet. And I would say donate your time. The place that we rescued Max from, they had girls come in all the time and just take the dogs on walks, which honestly, if you're gonna be out and about walking and getting exercise anyways, you might as well walk one of these shelter dogs. I think volunteering your time is one of the best things that you could do. I hope that y'all enjoyed this video. If you have any other specific questions, let me know down in the comments below and I'll try my best to get back to them. Max and I love you so much. He's sleeping now on the floor right here. He's so cute. I highly recommend getting a dog if you have the time or finances, because it really is like so fulfilling. Now I see, I'm nowhere near ready for kids, but now I see why people want kids so much and why people love kids so much, because though there are difficult moments, it is so rewarding to see this growth and this progress and to have something to love on and to take care of. I get it. I get it. Maybe I'll have kids in 6 years. Maybe. Okay, we love you so much. We hope you have the best rest of your day and we will see you in a video very soon. Bye.